Hello, guys. This is Aloysius Zanderman here. You could also call me Big Al or Alex Julian or Douglas Padre or someone who's kind of bitter red in the middle of nowhere in Mexico. And yes, definitely for the Californian area around here, as you can see from my Native American outfit here that I have for my Native American heritage. Yes, around California, it's very, very likely in most cases in California that there will be no snow pretty much every winter. Unless, like, maybe evolution takes its course or God takes his course and somehow a miracle happens and one day it snows. But then that would get kind of into the whole cliche of the Mr. White Christmas and Mr. Hot Sun guy who would argue about like where it's going to snow, where it's going to be flaming hot. But hey, even if it's about to be spring, hey, look, let's be grateful, okay? I mean, it's not always easy to live life in a place where not all four seasons exist. Maybe around the California area, maybe I will not have something like a bottle of Moxie, which is a very outdated elixir that's very much like a soda. Almost a soda that is very similar to an old Coca-Cola soda called Tab, which was the original Diet Coke until the modern Diet Coke took its place. And definitely, let me use this Japanese chopsticks just to remind you that language can get so complicated with our instructions, with our opinions, those kinds of things, that it's not unusual for a Japanese boy in Japan to bring this chopstick to his mother and ask her, how do you read this in Japanese? Like, how do you read this in Japanese? Like, how do you read it in our family dialect and in our family heritage with our samurai ancestry? That's not very unusual because Japan and China and Vietnam have a lot of interesting dialects of writing their languages. And there's a lot of them, trust me. I mean, I don't speak most languages. In fact, for the most part, I only speak English and just some Spanish. But I do study other languages enough to know that there's a lot of things going on in this small world we live in after all. Like maybe around California, maybe I'll see a box of hot tamales that I can eat, for this time in spring in California. And hot tamales is just basically these, which are basically fierce cinnamon candy pills, similar to jelly beans. And I just take one, for example, and do this. Delicious. But it is spicy and cinnamon-like. And I will toast that to you with this Walking Dead AMC mug. And I have a mug here of coffee, as you could see. And this is McDonald's coffee, and I use this to toast to you for this wonderful spring we've been having so far. And hey, I'm grateful that everybody in Tehachapi understands who I am and that they give me honest criticism about, they give me peaceful and honest criticism about who I really should be as a person. And well, just in case people do not know, let me drink some coffee before I get into any more talk about this. Bang, bang. Walking Dead. You're probably wondering, why is it that I am a soda addict? You're probably wondering, why am I a sodaholic? I'll tell you why. In my education growing up, there was basically no education for soda. I'm not joking. The only thing they really said to me in schools, even up to university, was they just basically said, do not drink it. It's not healthy. Well, okay, that is not education about soda. I mean, I was never told in my childhood growing up how much caffeine I could take in, or how much salt I could take in, or how much certain artificial ingredients that I could take in. And I was not given any literature about the history of soda and the history of coffee, really, and the history of beer, really. Basically, but especially with the history of soda, I was not given a history. Now, let me ask this. Let me ask politicians this. If you're willing to teach me in my education system the problems that there were in society about alcohol consumption in America, how come when I was growing up in education, how come you gave no education to me, or almost no education to me, about caffeine consumption and soda consumption, as in cola consumption, as in Pepsi consumption, as in Coca-Cola consumption? How come he gave me almost none of it? And look, I'm now grown up. I'm now like 37 years old. They're probably even looking at me and thinking like, oh my God, I think this guy's a child. He looks weird and those kinds of things. And I'll tell people, yeah, because I learned about a lot of my ancestry too late. It turns out that I am half German and half Russian. Did you know that? Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, so, yeah, my mom had ancestry from Russia, and my dad had ancestry from Germany. And I am the silly goose in the middle who tries to discuss these hot tamales with my dad to try to figure out what the hell is going on when it comes to this ancestry issue. And a jelly bean just dropped, just from my shock of it. Drink some more coffee. Sorry. I think this makes us all uncomfortable in some way. It makes us all uncomfortable. You're probably even thinking, oh my gosh, does Alex have anything that's like a juicy fruit in his house? I don't. Yes, I do. Juicy fruit, the gum right here. I am very much an 80s and 70s kid, or even before that, because I've studied a lot of history in my childhood. And we had a videotape collection of easily over 2,000 videotapes, or 1,000. I forget the number. But we had a lot of videotapes, and I watched a lot of recordings from the past, including a lot of commercials. So although I didn't technically really grow up much in the 80s, I was full of it enough to really know that something was going on. And I had true feelings of it from watching the films as a kid. And let me put it this way. Let me give you a poem, if I may, as a Native American to you, and as half German and half Russian, and with my kindness to you on our equality and justice and liberalism in America, and with our praise of the Democrat Party. And hey, with the Republican Party, at this point, if you talk to my dad, who is a historian and who is a Republican, if you talk to him about the Republican Party, he'll just basically look at you with his German ancestry. He'll just say, Republicans do not exist in America anymore. So, yeah, I mean, already with that kind of thing, I think the truth is, if the Republicans in America are really not Republicans anymore, then they just need to maybe perhaps consider changing their party name to something else, like maybe something like the semi-liberal party or the semi-neutral party or something like that with a certain label. Because it's confusing when we have all these different labels of all these political parties and stuff, because then we have to wonder, what is conservative and what is liberal? So, for example, Andrew Jackson was a Democrat, but would I consider him a Democrat today? No, because California has real estate that Andrew Jackson would not apply for with his farming and military ways in Tennessee. He had Andrew Jackson as president, as probably one of the greatest presidents in America. He owned a plantation, and his real estate would not apply to California standards on liberalism much, because he was very much like an isolated guy with his really big mansion with antiques and a lot of sagacity of antique collections. Whereas on the other hand, California was getting a liberal movement with the civil rights movement and with Martin Luther King Jr. because more and more apartments and small houses and neighborhoods were forming in California. And more people were gathering together, and it became basically impossible to hold on to strict prejudices of strict cultures from strict parts of the past. And California naturally became maybe not communist, but a lot more liberal in those kinds of things over the years. And as evidence of this, let me read this poem to give you an idea of the problem of personal investigation and opinions for all of us. My poem is called An Open Business. This is a conversation between a smart idiot and a dumb genius. The smart idiot says, the smart idiot says, the boss is coming back. Just follow his rule when he returns. The dumb genius says, what do you mean? Is this rule in bold of a note, a voice, a direction, a window, a skill, a case, or a place? And the smart idiot just says, come on, you smart aleck. That's not smart. You're thinking too much. And the dumb genius would say, well, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I am dumb, but at least I know my job. And that's the moral of the story to you. You take care. Aloysius Anderman here.